As a famous Kansas State basketball coach once said, it is a great day to be a Wildcat, and today's got to be one of those days. You're on a 5-game win streak, and Kansas State looks like it wants to play in March. And the most recent victory, of course, is that huge win against the Kansas Jayhawks, 81-73. What more could you ask for? Kansas State looks really freaking good right now. In the words of Bill Self, this does not look like a 12-11 basketball team. So, can they do the impossible? That's what we're going to talk about today, and I'm also going to give my 5 takeaways, just my quick thoughts. Maybe not super quick, but I have them all listed out in a notes sheet here. I did research this time, aka during my downtime at work, I conjured up some points. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I just want to talk about the Cats. I'm super excited. As you guys can probably tell, this light is not even natural light. I usually record these videos during the daytime because the sunlight is really nice, but we're not doing that today. I'm just so excited. It's 11:26 on a Saturday night, and what am I doing? I'm talking about the Cats because I'm so pumped up, and I hope you're pumped up too. My initial thoughts after this game is just that K-State is playing on fire right now. I mean, this team is unrecognizable. Scott Drew probably unironically saved this team, not this program, but certainly this team. I mean, I don't know, maybe you saved Jerome Tang's job. That's kind of a stretch, in my opinion. This team's looking really good right now. Again, 5-game winning streak. You get Arizona on Tuesday, which, yes, another top 25 opponent. So it's tough, but it's also an opportunity for Kansas State to make up a lot of lost ground. If there's a time to do it, it's right now. I want to give a shout out to Moby. He looked really good. He didn't play a whole lot against Kansas, and you probably won't see it on the scoreboard, but man, dude, that dude is a rebounding freak. I mean, I don't mean to suck up to my boy Joe here, but Joe, way back when we went to the game together, to the the Drake game back in January. Was it January? December? Oh my gosh, it was so long ago, but it was in Kansas City. We went there. He's a big Team Moby fan. I didn't see the vision at first. I totally see the vision now. He is a rebounding freak. He gets after it. He's a good dude to have in your locker room. Actually, I don't know. I'm not in their locker room. That'd be kind of strange if I was in their locker room. But he seems like he's a very good presence to have on the team. I think he looks a little lost at times. I feel like sometimes when Coleman's trying to direct traffic or Doug's trying to direct traffic, I don't know. Maybe that's the point. Maybe I just don't know that much ball. I feel like sometimes he looks a little like a deer in the headlights out there, but I think if you can get him to stay another year, then you can work on that, and I think he's going to be really good, and I think he's going to be good for the rest of the year, and he's a great player to have. He fights for every ball like it's life or death, and that's what you want out of a teammate. The crowd was incredible, by the way. That's my last initial thought. Someone that's there live, it was just incredible. I mean, they were loud. There was the only time I will say, crowd, why were you booing when Coleman Hawkins clearly hit that dude in the nuts and he was apologizing for it? Like, why are you booing? That is clearly a foul. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. But the crowd was overall very good, very loud. I didn't realize how much Kansas State hated Hunter Dickinson, but they sure made it known on Saturday. I mean, the boos were very loud. Last thing I'm going to say before I get into my thoughts, I just want to show off my hat. Yeah, don't look at my hair. I'm a little greaseball. Signed by Gabby Gregory herself. Yes, I just had to show that off. Maybe a bit sour to mention that after the Oklahoma State game. That just happened, but I just want to flex, all right? Just let me flex. Just let me flex. My first takeaway is Max Jones is playing really good. And I want to specifically bring up Max specifically. I said specifically like 3 times there, but I want to bring up Max specifically because I think he was one of the players that was kind of in this awkward gray space of, yeah, he deserves to be on the floor, but also if this year is a wash, you probably just want to play your new guys, try and keep as many people as possible. And since this is supposed to be his last year, that, maybe take some time, maybe take some of his minutes and put him into Castillo. But I've totally changed now. Now, especially that Kansas State looks like it could possibly be in a position to make itself appealing to March Madness. I think maybe he was written off a little too early. He plays really freaking good on there. He's not afraid to do the dirty work. Again, just like Moby, playing like every ball's life or death. That's what you want out of a player. And I've been really impressed watching Max Jones the past few games. I didn't know he had that dog in him. I don't know if he's just turned it on, if he's one of the players that flipped the switch of, okay, we like fully buy in now. I'm not sure, but he's looked really freaking good the last few weeks, and I just need to give a shout out to him because I think myself and some others probably saw him as like an unfortunate, like maybe we take some of your minutes away and put him into the new guys. But I have a total change of heart, and there was also a ruling that I can't remember the specific ruling, but basically a D2 player asked to have an extra year of eligibility and to not count the D2 year as a year of eligibility for their D1 years. And the judge ruled in favor of that player. Joe, I'll put a like link or a little like timestamp. I don't know if it's going to be up here, but I'll put like a little one for Joe because Joe broke it down a lot better than I probably can. But basically, what you need to know is Max Jones could possibly have another year of eligibility, which would be huge for K-State, especially if he's a player you can get to stay, because I think he would be a very good player to have come next year. Second point, gotta talk about Gasson. Absolute stud. He looked great today. I apologize for looking at my monitor over here, but Gasson ended with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and a block. I mean, that's in 33 minutes from the dude. He had the game-sealing dunk. I don't know if it's a posterizer or not, but man, it's actually it's become a classic Flying Dutchman moment where he goes down with the ball. I have a picture from K-State Athletics I'll probably put up here instead of you seeing me try and mimic him. But he has the ball up here. He's got his legs like spread out, and he's just like doing like this motion, and just like his facial expression is just full like warrior, man. It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. I think I've seen him do it so many times now, and man, it never gets old because I don't know. Seeing him out on the court, you don't think he's a guy that's like gonna get up and dunk. And man, when he dunks, it's so satisfying. And I think if you're a K-State fan, you're so thankful that he stuck around for these 3 years. I mean, it's been crazy. Transfer portal, most people don't stick around like this. And I think he's just been a very good, like, stable player for Tang and the rest of the Cats. And I think people give him his flowers now, but you got to give him a lot of credit that he stuck around and he's so good at basketball. And it's gonna suck not having him on the team next year because I feel like a lot of the Cats' identity is him. It's gonna be weird not seeing him on the floor. And yeah, you got to give him a shout out. And he looks like a real leader. I'm sure he is at this point, being there for so long. Yeah, I don't know. I really like his game. And he did great against KU. Now, a third point, and just let me finish before you go into the comments and be like, you're being a hypocrite right now. Coleman looks like a $2 million man. And I mean that as in he was worth the pennies. And I mean, he don't get it twisted. He's been putting up this stat line the entire season. This is not me like saying like, oh, he wasn't worth it before. But I think you're looking at it now and seeing like the potential this team has. And you're realizing that this was this was a good investment. I'm going to say it with my chest. It was a good investment. Yeah, $2 million for a single player is a lot. I mean, that's also kind of just the age of NIL, but he's doing what you need to. He's being a glue guy. He's getting you the stat line that you paid him to get. It seems like he's done a great job being a leader on the floor, directing traffic. He's obviously played basketball for a while now, so he's a veteran in that regard. And I think K-State needs, for the people who aren't appreciative of him at this point, you got to be appreciative of him. You got to be glad that he was willing to take his last year and put it on the Cats. I think he's done great things. He had a good game against KU. He had a funny post-game presser when asked about his record about Hunter Dickinson. He just seems like a good fit, and he's been bought in this time, and just gotta appreciate him playing these full games and putting in the heart and leading this team to being above 500, which I don't think anyone would have expected a month ago. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very important one. Now, again, I will say this with some of this is just speculation because, again, I'm not in the locker room. That would be weird if I'm in the locker room. I can barely shoot a free throw. I don't deserve to be in there. I probably will jinx the Cats. But listen, in my opinion, from what I've seen, it feels to me, this is the vibes I'm getting, that Tang and Dug have figured out what the hell is going on between them. They figured it out. Seems like Dug is out of the Dug house. He's getting to play. And thank God it couldn't happen at a better time. This team plays better when Dug is in the game. He's very good at handling the ball. He's very good at shooting. He's a good point guard, which is what K-State desperately needed. K-State desperately needed some stability at the point guard, and it seems like they finally found it in Dug. Now, again, I don't want to get speculative. If you told me a month ago, I would have said you're crazy, but a month ago, I would have thought there's no way he's on the team next year. Like, there's no way. Like, he's not going to stick around. What was happening was not something a player probably wants to deal with or stick around for. I don't know. I would love for things to have changed between then and now. I really would. And he's getting the minutes now. He's getting the floor. I just really hope there's some way for him to stay for a senior year. Honestly, that would be huge for the Cats. It'd be huge for the program. Again, I would think you're crazy if you asked me that a month ago, but given how he's playing now, his playing time, how it seems like him and Dug and Tang are getting along now, I really do truly believe there's probably a way you can convince him to stay for another year. And if you could do that, that would be huge. Again, shouldn't expect him to stay. I don't expect him to stay. I think, though, that there's actually a world where he does stay, which I thought there was no universe. You call me Doctor Strange, I could explore every single one of them, and I would not have been able to find a single one. Now, it could seem like maybe 20, 30 of them, like of the trillions. Maybe 20 or 30%, not 20 or 30 of them. But, I think there's some worlds where you get Dug to stay. And again, that would be huge for the Cats. I think if you can get into March Madness, you could probably do it. And again, I'll get into March Madness in a second. I know I keep teasing it. I'll get into it in a second. Got to make my fifth point, though. Now, Brendan Housen is a dog. I love him. I love seeing him play. Don't take that No, don't take that out of context. But, dude, I love his game. I think the Cats are such a fun team when there is a player who can shoot the ball and who has the green light. And from that KU game, it is so obvious to me that he has the green light. That dude caught and shot like at least 8 or 9 of the 10 threes he attempted. And his stat line is pretty funny. 3 out of 10 for field goals, 3 out of 10 on 3-pointers. He only shot threes. Literally only shot threes. And I love it. I'm fine with it. If there's any player you'd ask, hey, who could pull it from the logo? There's 2 players, Dug and Brendan. And I will never doubt the Armadillo Assassin from shooting wherever he feels comfortable shooting. If he feels comfortable, I feel comfortable because I see him and I see a confident player in whatever shot he's going to take. He could be at the other 3-point line and I'd be like, yeah, I could see it happening. I could see it falling. He's that confident a player. He's that confident a shooter. I love that his confidence doesn't die even when the ball isn't falling through the hoop. He had 2 pretty terrible 3-point. Look, if you're watching this video, I apologize for using the word terrible. But look, they were kind of 3-point shots. They were kind of bad. One was off from the second and left his hands. And then he swished the next one, went right through. He hit the night celebration. It was beautiful. There's a clip that Stu got. Literally, Dug just the second it hit Brendan's hands, Dug turned around, looking, not even looking at the court anymore, looking at the other hoop, and just put a 3 up, man. I can't remember if it was 3 or 3, but he just put a 3 up because he was just that confident in him. And to me, that signals that his teammates are also confident, and they keep feeding him the ball, which is great to see. I think this team is really fun. when someone has the green light like that, kind of like when Marquise had like the, you can shoot one from half court per game, one from the logo. Like, I love that kind of K-State basketball, and I love that Tang feels confident enough in Hausen to give him the green light on those. On the other hand of the ball, because you guys already know his 3-point shooting, his defense, I think, has been better. I think it's improved a lot. I think he was a liability. I personally was kind of always worried seeing him on defense. I didn't think he was the greatest defensive player. I always thought that his offense made up for his, maybe slacking defense. But now I think his defense looks a lot better. I think he actually is able, he looked pretty good in the KU game. I think it's improved a lot. Again, I think he's a guy that will probably stay for next year. And if that is the case, then I think he's going to be a very scary player. Another thing I noticed, though, he kind of seemed to struggle against the press at the very end of the game when he was trying. He would never get the ball, even when he was able to be past the ball from Coleman, pass the ball in. Like, he was never the primary target. I think he only had to deal with the press once. And he seemed like he kind of struggled in it. He just might not be the best at it, and that's totally fine. Because, again, I think his offensive pressure and, now his defense is making up for it. But I think that's something that I kind of noticed, and probably something that I would probably focus on improving. I think he would be a very scary threat the entire length of the floor. And that's really what you want, especially if he's a player that's going to stick around, which I think he will. So, what you all stayed for this video. Can they do the impossible? So I looked at their schedule, and realistically, there's 2 games that you really need to win, which is Arizona and Iowa State. Luckily, they're both at home. In my opinion, the 3rd game you probably need to win is the game in Provo, the game against BYU. I think that's also a must-win game. I know BYU isn't ranked right now. They're still a very scary and very good team. BYU is a tough environment. If you can win in that environment, it's going to look really good, in my opinion. I think that's a game you have to win. And those are the 3 games I think you have to win. Realistically, I think this team could come out of this final 8 games with a 6-2 record. Obviously, I think 8-0 is the ceiling at this point. But, I mean, that's a tall order to ask to win your last 13 games. But I do think it's possible. But realistically, I'm setting my realistic expectation to 6-2 for these last few games. And again, if you must, that would leave you with an 18-13 record. And again, if you can beat Arizona, BYU, and Iowa State, those look really good on the resume. And I think all 3 of those games are winnable. Honestly, BYU to me seems the scariest. I think Arizona might be a little bit of a trap game, because the only reason Arizona's only ranked 20th, because they've been doing very well in the Big 12, is because they kind of had a bad non-con. But I mean, they look really good now. So I think that 20 ranking, it might be a little misleading. I genuinely think they're a little bit better than what the ranking might lead on. But again, I think it's a winnable game. It's in Bramlage, so you have a lot of momentum in Bramlage right now. I think it's winnable. I think it's doable. I think 18-13 is the target goal. I think if you can do better, obviously that's great. And I think you want to get out of Kansas City, the Big 12 tournament, with at least 2 wins. At least 1 would be good. Do not lose the first round. You are going to be cooked if you do. But if you can get out of there with at least 1 or 2 wins, that would look a lot better on the resume. With 2 wins, you have a 20-14 record going into March Madness. Yes, the Wichita State game looks kind of bad. The at Oklahoma State game looks kind of bad. LSU, who I think is 1-8 in conference play, yeah, those losses are brutal. But I think I'm not going to mention the Drake game, even though Drake is like a D2 coach with D2 players. They're good. They're probably going to make the tournament. I'm not going to count that in the bad losses category because I think they're a good team. Look, K-State, those losses, they yeah, you don't want to lose them, but they're not as bad in retrospect. Liberty has a chance to make the tournament. They're second in their conference right now. St. John's, obviously, I believe they're top 15 team right now. That's a good team. Yeah, again, it sucks to lose, especially because you were up at halftime. But again, the losses were not that bad. But I think if you get into March with a 20-14 record, I think you can appeal to the committee with that in the Big 12. Now I know the Big 12 is kind of on a down year. I think SEC is a better league this cycle, this season. than the Big 12, which I hate to say because I hate the SEC, but I think objectively that's the better league this season. The Big 12 is still a very good league. Like people have been saying, like other reporters, I think Kellis said this in an interview with Caroline a few weeks ago. It is the Big 12. If you can kind of find your footing in it, it allows you, yeah, it's a tough league, but it allows you to make up for a poor non-con performance, which K-State desperately needs to do at this point. But as I say, they desperately need to, but it's definitely doable. Not out of the question. I think anything's possible at this point. And I think getting into March is 100% doable. Can they do it though? That's the better question. I think they can. I put their odds at I know the actual odds is 2 to 4% right now. I would put Kansas State at a 30% chance to make it in the March. I genuinely believe in these guys. I think they had it figured out. They have some games that can make up for some ground. I think they can do it. And that's my final analysis. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. If you're around Manhattan, go support Kansas State playing Arizona. Battle of the Wildcats. And that's a must win. So go out and support them. Okay, bye. That's all I got. Peace!